please. You're my only hope.
The sun was setting over Millstone County, painting the streets in a dull orange haze. On the edge of town, a small diner buzzed quietly. The kind of place where faces were familiar but struggles were hidden behind polite smiles. Inside, Tiana Brooks sat in the corner booth, clutching a folded letter in one hand and her phone in the other. Her 7-year-old son Noah stirred his chocolate milk with a straw, unaware that his mother's world was unraveling. The letter was from the family court of Millstone County. It was official. Her ex-husband, a man who'd walked out years ago, had suddenly returned. Worse, he was suing for full custody, claiming she was financially unstable and unfit. Tiana had no lawyer, no savings, and no one to call for help. Her chest tightened as she read the final line again. Custody hearing scheduled in 7 days. Court requires evidence of a stable family environment. A family environment. Tiana looked at Noah, her whole world, and whispered, "They're not taking you from me." That's when she saw them. A group of bikers roaring down the street, engines growling like thunder. The Iron Vows MC, they were known all over Millstone, rough, loyal, and untouchable. And at the head of the pack was Marcus Hawk Dalton, the kind of man people whispered about but never dared cross. And in that moment, a desperate idea sparked in her mind, an idea that would make the entire town stop and stare. Tiana rushed outside, nearly tripping as she waved them down. The bikers slowed, confused by the sight of a young woman standing in their path. Hawk cut the engine and lifted his helmet. "You got a death wish, lady?" She swallowed hard, her voice shaking. "No, sir, I need your help." The crew exchanged glances, half amused, half wary. Hawk frowned. "What kind of help?" Tiana's hands trembled as she held out the letter. "I need you to pretend to be my husband. Just for one day." The silence that followed felt like forever. Hawk blinked. "You want me to what?" "Please," she whispered. "You don't understand. If the court doesn't believe I have a stable home, they'll take my son." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Hawk sighed, rubbing his jaw. "Lady, you're either crazy or the bravest person I've met." But what Tiana didn't know was that asking the Iron Vows for help would drag her into a war far bigger than custody. A war she didn't even know existed. The diner had gone silent. Every eye was on Tiana, a young mother begging a biker gang for help like her life depended on it. Because it did. Hawk looked at her for a long time. His eyes were cold but not cruel. More like a man who'd seen too much of the world to believe in second chances. "You want me to play husband?" he said finally, his tone half disbelief, half curiosity. Tiana nodded, voice trembling. "Just for a day. I need to convince the judge I have a stable family. My ex, he's rich, connected. If I show up alone, I lose my son." Noah peeked from behind her, clutching the corner of her coat. Hawk's gaze softened for a split second when he saw the boy. "You sure about this, lady?" one of the bikers muttered. "You don't know us." "I know you protect people who can't protect themselves," she said quickly. "That's all I need to know." The crew chuckled under their breath, half mocking, half impressed. Hawk sighed and ran a hand over his stubble. "You're serious, aren't you?" "Dead serious." The leader turned to his men. "Give us a minute." They stepped aside, murmuring. Tiana waited as Hawk studied her, like a man trying to decide if she was brave or just desperate. Finally he spoke. "I don't do charity, but I respect guts. You show up at my clubhouse tomorrow, 9 a.m., with proof this is real. Court date, papers, all of it. If it checks out, maybe I'll help you." Tiana blinked, stunned. "You mean it?" He smirked slightly. "Don't thank me yet. If I'm doing this, we're playing it right. No half-truths. I'll be your husband for a day. And you'll be part of the Iron Vows until the act's over. You follow my rules. You stay safe. Understand?" She nodded quickly. "Yes, anything." Hawk leaned closer. "One more thing. What's your ex's name?" "Darius Cole." The entire room fell quiet. Even the bikers stopped whispering. Hawk's expression darkened. "You didn't tell me we were talking about him?" Tiana frowned. "You know him?" Hawk's voice dropped. "Yeah, and if he's back in this town, you just lit a fuse that's been waiting years to blow." By the time morning came, word had already spread through Millstone. The Iron Vows leader was marrying a single mom, but what no one knew was that her ex-husband was coming too, and he wasn't coming alone. The Iron Vows clubhouse sat on the edge of Millstone, a converted warehouse with steel doors, graffiti-covered walls, and the constant smell of motor oil and smoke. It wasn't the kind of place anyone expected to see a woman like Tiana Brooks walking into, much less with her 7-year-old son. As Hawk's crew gathered around, the engines from outside idled down. They stared, Not with cruelty, but with curiosity. "Boss," one of the bikers muttered. "You sure about this? She don't look like our kind," Hawk smirked. "Maybe she's the kind we needed all along." Tiana stood her ground, clutching her bag of court papers. "Here. Everything you asked for." Hawk took the stack, flipping through it. Her trembling hands didn't go unnoticed. The more he read, the deeper his frown grew. Darius Cole. A name Hawk knew too well. Once a local investor, now a businessman with a trail of dirty money behind him. And the worst part? Darius had friends in high places. Judges, lawyers, even a few cops. He finally set the papers down. "You weren't lying. You're in deep." Tiana's voice cracked. "He told me no one would believe me. He's got power, lawyers, everything. But I've got Noah. He's all I care about." Hawk's jaw tightened. "Then you'll have him. But understand this. If Darius shows up, I'm not playing pretend anymore." Tiana looked up at him, fear and trust mixing in her eyes. "Thank you, Hawk," he waved it off. "Don't thank me yet. The court'll want proof this marriage is real. That means pictures, documents, a ceremony, even if it's fake. We make it look official, or they'll see right through it." Tiana blinked. "A ceremony? As in, a wedding?" The room went quiet. Hawk nodded once. "Tomorrow morning, we'll stage it at the clubhouse. My crew'll handle witnesses. We'll take photos, file what we need, and you'll walk into court looking like the wife of a man nobody messes with." Tiana exhaled shakily. "You'd really do that for me? For you?" Hawk said. "No. For that kid who still believes his mom can win." Noah smiled shyly from behind her leg. The crew chuckled. "Guess the boss has got a heart after all." But outside, across the street, a black sedan sat parked with its headlights off, and a man inside made a phone call. "Yeah," the voice said quietly. "She found him. She's with the Iron Vows now." And on the other end of that call, Darius Cole smiled, because the trap Tiana thought she was escaping from had just closed in tighter. Morning sunlight spilled through the dusty windows of the Iron Vows clubhouse. Bikers moved fast, setting up chairs, clearing tools, and stringing lights that hadn't been used in years. It was surreal, the same warehouse that had seen fights, deals, and broken promises. Now looked like the set of a small-town wedding. Tiana stood in front of a cracked mirror, wearing a simple white dress borrowed from one of the biker wives. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the neckline. She didn't feel like a bride. She felt like a storm trying to hold itself together. "Never thought I'd see the boss in a suit," one biker laughed as Hawk Dalton stepped out of his office. He wasn't wearing much of one, just a black button-down, leather vest, and boots polished for the first time in years. But when his eyes found Tiana, something shifted in his expression. "You sure about this?" he asked quietly. Tiana forced a smile. "No, but I've never been sure about anything that mattered." Hawk nodded slowly. "Then let's make it count." The ceremony was quick but strangely heartfelt. The crew played the role of witnesses, cheering, laughing, even wiping fake tears. Noah stood proudly beside Hawk, holding the ring with a grin that melted hearts. When it came time for the kiss, Tiana hesitated, but Hawk leaned down gently, brushing her forehead instead. The clubhouse erupted in applause. Cameras flashed. Someone yelled, "Guess we've got ourselves a Mrs. Dalton now." Tiana laughed through nervous tears. For the first time in months she felt safe, but safety never lasted long in Millstone. Outside, 2 black SUVs pulled up near the road. Men in dark suits stepped out, Darius Cole's men. From a distance, Darius watched the wedding through tinted glass, anger tightening his jaw. "That's her plan? Marrying a biker?" he muttered. "She thinks a patch and a leather jacket make her untouchable?" One of his men leaned in. "You want us to move?" "Not yet," Darius said. "Let her think she's winning. We'll let the court do our work for us. Then, we'll finish it my way." Back inside, Tiana laughed as Noah ran between the bikers, playing with a toy motorcycle someone had given him. Hawk watched quietly from across the room, a small smile on his face, but worry in his eyes. He knew Darius Cole too well, and he knew men like him never lost quietly. That night, as the last guests left and the laughter faded, Hawk stood guard outside the clubhouse, unaware that someone had already cut the security feed and was coming for Tiana before dawn. The clubhouse was quiet that night. Too quiet. The laughter and music from the wedding had faded, replaced by the hum of silence and the ticking of the old wall clock. Tiana tucked Noah into the spare room, brushing his hair gently as he drifted off to sleep. "You did great today," she whispered. "Grandma would have been proud." Down the hall, Hawk Dalton sat alone, the faint glow of his cigar the only light in the room. He hadn't slept, Something in his gut told him this peace wouldn't last. Then came the sound, a faint click, like metal against glass. Then another. Hawk froze. A second later, the front window shattered. "Down!" he yelled. The clubhouse erupted in chaos. Bullets tore through the front wall, sending sparks and splinters flying. Bikers scrambled for cover, grabbing pistols from hidden drawers. Tiana screamed, shielding Noah as Hawk kicked open her door and pulled them behind a steel column. "Who are they?" she gasped. Hawk loaded his gun. "Your ex's men." He just made his move. Through the smoke, dark figures moved outside. 3 of them, then 5. Their headlights cut through the dust, the red glow of their rifles painting the walls like fire. "Cover me," Hawk barked. 2 of his men burst through the back door, circling around the attackers. The sound of gunfire split the night. Then, silence. When the dust settled, one of the attackers lay wounded, his mask half torn. Hawk grabbed him by the collar. "Who sent you?" The man coughed blood. "You already know his name." Hawk's grip tightened. "Why her? Why Tiana?" The man smirked weakly. "She's the last witness. Her name's still on the documents he forged years ago. The ones that built his empire. You're protecting the one person who can destroy him." Hawk froze. "She doesn't even know." The man laughed once, then passed out cold. Tiana stumbled forward, her voice shaking. "What does he mean?" "What documents?" Hawk turned toward her, eyes dark. "Your husband didn't just leave you, Tiana. He used you. Your name's tied to every dirty deal he made, every laundered dollar, every stolen property. If you go to court, he's not just fighting for your son. He's fighting for his empire." Tiana's face went pale. "Oh my God." Hawk holstered his gun. "You said you needed a husband for a day. Looks like you got one, for a war." By morning, the news would call it a biker shootout. But what really happened that night wasn't just survival. It was the start of a reckoning Darius Cole never saw coming. The next morning, the Iron Vows clubhouse looked like a war zone. Shattered glass, bullet holes, and scorch marks on the walls. But Tiana Brooks didn't have time to breathe. The court hearing was just hours away. As the sun rose, Hawk's crew worked silently to patch up what they could. But it wasn't the walls that were broken. It was Tiana's nerves. She sat on the edge of a cot, hands trembling, as she reread the court letter again and again. "You don't have to do this alone," Hawk said, stepping beside her. Tiana looked up, eyes glassy. "I'm walking into a courtroom full of people who already believe I'm a liar. And now I know my ex is hiding crimes I can't even prove." Hawk's voice hardened. "You let me handle him. You just walk in there, tell your truth, and hold your head up. The Iron Vows don't back down from snakes like Darius Cole." He turned to his second-in-command, Griff, and said, "Get the flash drive." Griff tossed it over. "Got it off one of Darius's guys last night. It's encrypted, but I've seen enough. Property transfers, fake signatures, and her name all over it." "That's your proof." Tiana's eyes widened. "You mean—" "Yeah," Hawk said. "We've got his empire in our hands, but he didn't tell her everything. The flash drive also contained something else. A wire transfer to a name Hawk hadn't heard in years. His own brothers." He clenched his jaw. "If Darius thinks he can play both sides, he's got no idea who he's dealing with." Hours later, the courthouse buzzed with tension. Reporters lined the steps, cameras flashing as the Iron Vows rolled in behind Tiana, their motorcycles shaking the street. Inside, Darius Cole stood tall in his 3-piece suit, smiling for the cameras. He looked like a saint, the loving father reclaiming his child from a reckless mother. Only Hawk knew the monster underneath that perfect smile. When the judge entered, everyone rose. The hearing began. Darius's lawyer wasted no time. "Your Honor, my client only wishes to protect his son from a dangerous environment. The mother lives with known criminals. These," he glanced at the bikers, "are her witnesses." Whispers spread like wildfire through the room. Tiana stood, her heart pounding. "Your Honor, I may not have money or power, but I have proof that my husband is lying." Gasps echoed. Darius's calm mask cracked for the first time. Hawk slid the flash drive onto the evidence table. "Let's see who's really unfit." But before the judge could open the file, a voice from the back stopped everything. A voice Hawk hadn't heard in years. "Don't do it, brother. You don't know what you're holding." And standing in the doorway was Hawk's estranged brother, working for Darius Cole. The air inside the courthouse turned ice cold. Every head turned toward the back doors, and there he was, Logan Dalton, Hawk's younger brother, the one who'd vanished years ago after a job gone bad, the one Hawk thought was dead. Now, he was standing in a black suit beside Darius Cole, wearing a smirk that could slice steel. "Logan," Hawk whispered, "what the hell are you doing here?" Logan stepped forward, hands in his pockets. Working for the winning side, big brother. Tiana looked from one man to the other, confusion written all over her face. Your brothers? Hawk didn't take his eyes off him. Used to be. The judge slammed his gavel. This is a courtroom, not a family reunion. Explain yourselves or I'll clear the room. Logan chuckled. Fine by me, Your Honor. I just thought my brother would want to know the truth before he ruins everything. He turned toward the crowd, his voice calm, sharp, poisonous. You all think this woman's some innocent victim? You think these bikers are her saviors? My brother here used to run protection for Darius, years ago. He's no hero. He helped build the same empire he's pretending to fight. Gasps erupted. Cameras flashed. Tiana's stomach dropped. She turned to Hawk. Is that true? Hawk's voice was low but steady. Yeah, I worked for him once. But when I saw what he was doing, the drugs, the lies, the money, I walked away. My brother didn't, Logan smiled faintly. You walked away and I cleaned up your mess. And now you're back to burn it all down for some woman you just met? Hawk took a step forward. For a kid who deserves better than men like us. The judge's gavel slammed again, but no one listened. The courtroom had turned into a storm. Darius Cole rose slowly, his mask of calm slipping. Enough. Hand over that flash drive, or I'll make sure your biker club never rides again. Hawk's hand hovered near his vest. You can threaten me all you want, Darius. But that file's already been sent to every reporter in this building. The blood drained from Darius's face. You wouldn't, Hawk grinned. Watch me. Tiana stood beside him now, trembling but firm. You took everything from me, Darius. My peace, my name, my future, but not my son. Not anymore. The judge pounded his gavel one last time. Order! I'll have this courtroom cleared if... Suddenly Logan pulled a gun. Screams filled the room. Then let's finish this family business, he growled. And as the crowd ducked and chaos exploded, Hawk lunged forward, because he wasn't fighting for revenge anymore. He was fighting for family. The courtroom erupted into panic. Screams echoed as people dove behind benches, papers scattered through the air, and the judge's gavel clattered to the floor. Logan Dalton stood in the middle of the chaos, his hand shaking, gun aimed straight at his brother. Hawk! Tiana screamed. Get Noah out of here! Hawk shouted, pushing her behind the witness table. But Tiana didn't move. Not this time. Logan's voice cracked. You always thought you were the hero, didn't you? The one who could fix everything. You left me to rot, Marcus. Hawk stepped closer, his hands raised. Put it down, brother. You still got a choice. No, I don't, Logan hissed. He owns me now. Then stop letting him, Hawk barked. You're still my blood! For a heartbeat, Logan hesitated. His hand trembled, and that's when Darius made his move. He lunged, grabbing the gun. The shot rang out. The echo hung in the air like thunder. Logan stumbled back, clutching his side, bleeding, but alive. The bullet had missed Hawk and hit the marble wall behind him. Before Darius could fire again, Hawk tackled him to the ground. The two men crashed through the aisle, fists flying, rage years in the making. You used her, Hawk roared, slamming him into a bench. You used everyone! Darius gritted his teeth, grabbing a shard of glass from the floor. You think you're better than me? You're just another criminal pretending to play savior. But Hawk caught his wrist and twisted hard. The glass fell with a sharp clink. Maybe I was, Hawk growled. But today, I'm done pretending. The bailiffs burst in, weapons drawn. In seconds, Darius Cole was pinned, cuffed, and dragged away, shouting threats no one cared to hear. Logan lay on the floor, pale but breathing. Hawk knelt beside him. You're not dying today, little brother. Logan coughed, blood on his lips. Guess you still got my back, huh? Always did. Paramedics rushed in. Reporters swarmed the courthouse steps, capturing every second. By the time the sun dipped below the millstone horizon, the story was everywhere. Corrupt businessman exposed by biker club. Single mother saves her child. Days later, the custody court gave Tiana full guardianship of Noah. The charges against her were dropped, and Darius Cole was indicted on over a dozen felonies. Outside the courthouse, engines roared once again, the Iron Vows lined up in a show of solidarity. Hawk waited by his bike, watching Tiana and Noah approach. She smiled softly. Guess I owe you more than just a fake marriage, Hawk chuckled. Nah, just keep raising that boy right. That's all the thanks I need, Noah grinned. Can we ride next time? Hawk winked. One day, kid. As they watched the bikers roll into the sunset, the sound of the engines echoed like thunder across Millstone. Not of war this time, but of freedom. Because sometimes, family isn't the one you're born into. It's the one that rides in when the world turns against you. If this story moved you, hit the like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe. The next story will shock you even more. You don't want to miss it. And more powerful stories like this are on the way, where courage, loyalty, and love change everything.